am. I went to Kenyatta Hospital, but I was neglected. Yeah, so they left me, and when they came back, they found the baby's head already out, but it was too late. So my baby didn't cry, and he developed cerebral palsy in the process. And now I have to take care of a disabled child that way.
Oh, let's get that cut out.
Don't cut yet.
I'm not cutting yet. Well, we have to clamp.
Why? No, I want the blood flow to go all the way.
Well, what you're doing is pulling back from the baby now, going back to you. It's already happened. It's already done its thing. You don't want to go any longer. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna want
baby being decapitated during childbirth.
In the wrongful death lawsuit filed in Clayton County this morning, the couple claims the hospital covered up their baby's death.
Jessica was fully dying.
I want my baby.
Okay, I will press charges because you cannot record us. We have to give consent. It is.
But I asked you to give me my baby, and I'm being nice, and you're not letting me be nice.
For the safety of your baby, because you are very hype. The police are coming.
Hold on a minute. I'm not hype, and I'm not recording. I'm not hype. I said I want you to take your hands off so I can. I call the police and I just want to leave. That's all I'm saying.
But you can leave. Baby will have to stay here.
No, the baby
stays for 24 hours.
1 second. I just had a nurse say that I pushed her, and I didn't push her. I didn't do anything, and I'm asking to leave because I don't feel safe here. And I'm saying that I want you to just take your hands off my baby and just let me go home with my baby. I just had a C-section.
I know. Anybody wouldn't be able to go home with their baby. Not till 24 hours because there has to be
But
testing
the lady,
and all that
the
stuff.
nurse,
I know.
just said that I hit her.
That's why we're trying to resolve that
I
issue.
did not hit anyone. I'm not a violent person, and I just want to go home with my baby. I don't feel
has to
safe.
be here for 24 hours.
I understand that, but due to the allegation, I don't.
Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, my name is Miss Kafue. So ladies, the medical malpractice that goes on during childbirth and after childbirth, the obstetric violence that goes on in this world against women during their most vulnerable time must be talked about and must be exposed. If you've ever undergone such an experience, my heart goes out to you. And oh my God, I don't know, like every woman I know has a story to tell. They have a story to tell, whether it's their first, their second, their third, their fourth, their fifth birth. Like they have a story to tell, or their sister or their cousin or whoever, they have a story to tell, which is so sad. The things that are represented, that are shown on this video is just a representation of what goes on in this real world. And we hear so much in our communities that doesn't make it to the news, doesn't make it to TikTok, you know. So ladies, let's quickly jump right into this video and then I'll be back to give my take on it.
Oh, let's get that cut out.
Don't cut yet.
I'm not cutting yet. Well, we have to clamp.
Why? No, I want the blood flow to go all the way.
Well, what you're doing is pulling back from the baby now, going back to you. It's already happened. It's already done its thing. You don't want to go any longer. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna want.
Pause right here. This is not a misunderstanding. This is a violation of consent. So the mother clearly says, no, don't cut the cord. She says it more than once, and her words do not stop the hands. Then comes the lie. I'm not cutting it. I'm just clamping it. Clamping stops placental blood flow. Functionally, it ends the same process the cut does. But let's be clear. This is not only about the cord. This is about what happens when a woman's no is ignored at her most vulnerable moment. In medicine, no is not a suggestion. It is a legal boundary. There is no emergency here. There is no justification. A calm voice can still commit harm. Birth does not erase a mother's rights, and consent does not end after the baby is born.
Sorry, honey, but this is the only way.
I need a different nurse.
I'm the only nurse that you're going to get right now.
Okay.
You're going to give me your hand because you're discharged.
Okay.
Let's go.
Can you have Tiffany come back in here?
No, Tiffany's not a nurse.
So give me your arm, because we're leaving. I'm going to count to 3, and then I'm getting security. 1, 2, 3.
Baby being decapitated during childbirth.
In the wrongful death lawsuit filed in Clayton County this morning, the couple claims the hospital covered up their baby's death.
Jessica was fully dilated and ready for delivery of Travion Jr. But according to the complaint, they say his shoulders got stuck in the vaginal canal.
What wound up happening after that is just brutal. Dr. St. Julian came in and she, in the process of trying to deliver this baby, pulled on the baby's head and neck so hard and manipulated them so hard that the bones in the baby's skull, face, and neck were broken. The womb was open, the feet came out, the body came out, and there was no head. The head was stuck in the vagina.
The couple's attorneys allege nurses and medical staff at the hospital lied to the couple about what happened, discouraged them from getting an autopsy, tried to encourage them to cremate the child, and failed to report the death to the medical examiner.
Why do men feel like they have a say in the delivery room? This woman is screaming in pain, and she's looking at you to give her the okay for an epidural. Absolutely not. If I'm asking Jessica what is her plan for pain, I didn't ask you to say, oh, we're going natural. No, we ain't doing you ain't doing nothing. Jessica, what is your plan for pain? I think, and she looks at him, that I'm gonna go, look right here. What do you want? This is your body, your labor, your delivery, your choice. You're my patient. Don't look at him for no answers. And you, sir, don't talk. Unless you're going to be supportive in there, don't even open your mouth and say nothing. And then don't you dare part your lips to say, oh, it don't hurt that bad, or it can't hurt that bad. That is the fastest way to get your ass kicked up out this room.
I went to Kenyatta Hospital, but I was neglected. Yeah, so they left me, and when they came back, they found the baby's head already out, but it was too late. So my baby didn't cry, and he developed cerebral palsy in the process. And now I have to take care of a disabled child that way.
I can't even imagine what that feels like. I'm so sorry. That feels like so empty to just say, I'm so sorry. But did the hospital ever even come to you and apologize?
They told us the baby developed cerebral palsy in the process of labor and everything, but they were not sorry.
Yeah. We're talking about healthcare here, but public services are being denied all over the country in all forms.
Only people that should be allowed in the delivery room is the person that came in the vagina or whose vagina you came out of. There's something off about the majority of boy moms. I did not allow my mom to be in the delivery room for my first daughter being born. Because if the hospital is only allowing 2 people, it's me and my wife's mom that's gonna be in there in the delivery room. I have a total of 4 siblings, 1 handicapped brother and 3 sisters. My brother's in a wheelchair. We're not looking forward to seeing any Hot Wheels running around the house anytime soon. All 3 of my sisters, my mom was in the delivery room for. Now imagine if all the baby dads said, oh no, I want my mom in there. How do you think she would have felt? What comfort is my mom gonna offer to my wife while she's pushing the baby? Her mom knows everything about her. Me and my mother-in-law about to be Bill Belichick and Tom Brady in that delivery room. Why is it such a big deal that my mom needs to see the inside of my wife's vagina? What value is my mom adding to the team in this situation? Of course, my mom was crying and complaining. I guess I just won't see the baby. Nobody gonna see the baby, not for a few days even. Y'all not bringing that outside air into my newborn. Let that man grow up. Let him be a man. Let him be a father, a husband. He's no longer classified as just your son.
So there's a reason this Utah judge called it the most dangerous place on the planet to give birth. And once you hear this, you'll understand why. So back in 2019, Anissa Sancanella went into labor while visiting Salt Lake County and was admitted to Jordan Valley Medical Center, then owned by Steward Healthcare. So what happened next would change her life forever. So court records say that nurses in training gave her excessive Pitocin, a drug used to induce labor, and ignored signs of fetal distress. Her on-call physician allegedly asleep in another room. And despite the obvious signs of trouble, a C-section wasn't performed until more than 24 hours later. Her baby, Azalea, was born with metabolic acidosis, a sign of oxygen deprivation. She was life-flighted for care, but she now lives with permanent brain damage, seizures, limited speech, and will need care for the rest of her life. So fast forward to 2024, and a Utah judge just awarded the family $951 million, the largest medical malpractice payout in the state's history. But here's the catch. Stewart declared bankruptcy in May and may not even pay a cent of it. And what's worse, they walked away from the case entirely. The judge even said that the award could have been higher had they participated. So this isn't just malpractice. This is abandonment. This is the price of unchecked systems and corporate healthcare collapse. From a nursing perspective, this should have never happened. New grads or not, fetal monitoring is nursing 101 in labor delivery. And when a baby's life is in your hands, you escalate, you advocate, you don't wait for someone to wake up. So this case is exactly why we need accountability, not just for hospitals, but for the broken healthcare systems that protect them.
I'm a medical malpractice lawyer. If your baby was in the NICU and was diagnosed with something called cerebral palsy or HIE, hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, you may want to have your baby's medical records reviewed by a lawyer and a team of doctors. The reason I say this is there might have been medical malpractice that happened, meaning something went wrong during the labor and delivery process, or after the baby was delivered, or during your prenatal care that caused the injury. So you want to have the records reviewed. You want to talk with the lawyer. The consultation is totally free. If you have any questions, you can message me here on the app, or you can call me or text me at this number. It's totally free, and I'd be happy to talk with you about it.
Good. Baby.
I'm so sorry.
I am the mom in that video that you see crying in the hospital room. I shared a little bit about the story of how police barged into my maternity room 3 days after I gave birth, and a doctor in that hospital reported me to DCF for medical neglect of my fourth child. I actually had never experienced in the 13 years of being a mother anything like that before. As you can imagine, I was completely devastated. I was sitting in a hospital chair with my 3-day-old infant. Officers entered into my maternity room. It just shook me to the core. There's a video at the top of my page that you can go and look at that gives the whole experience of my response and my mother's response after the cops actually were ushered out of my maternity room and back into the hallway of the hospital. Prior to the police barging into my hospital room with their guns drawn, the staff had been in my room, the charge nurse, the room nurse, my midwife, my pediatrician, and as well as the NICU doctor that's in question for reporting me to DCF for medical neglect. The NICU doctor was actually not my son's doctor, but was the doctor that was on staff that morning at the hospital. He never saw my son prior to this day. My son was never in the NICU. He was actually 41 weeks when I gave birth, and at this point at 47 hours of life. The morning of the third day at the hospital, There was a phlebotomist, I believe, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that came into the room to take my son's blood work. So typically when newborns are born, they will have a heel prick done so that they can check for their levels of jaundice. About midway through the day, this NICU doctor came into my room to tell me the results of the heel prick. At that point, he informed me that the hospital was going to discharge me, but was wanting to keep my son to put him under light therapy. At that moment, I had asked that doctor that I'd never seen before, first time he has ever entered my maternity room, to do me a huge favor and get me the records of this blood work so that I can get it over to my pediatrician so I can get her opinion on what she wanted to do and how she wanted to proceed with my son's care. This doctor insisted that if I didn't do any light therapy that my son was going to have brain injury. He was very adamant that anything that we did besides what he had recommended would cause harm to my child. My pediatrician was able to look over my son's records and saw that his level at 47 hours of age was at 13. And typically when they are at that age and have that level, light therapy is not necessary. So she actually signed on paperwork and sent it to the hospital, informing them that she was okay with releasing my son into her practice, into her care, and that it would remove the hospital from any liability. I can remember at the point when the doctor re-entered my room after my pediatrician had released my son into her care, him coming in like shaking, holding my son's blood work, and I could remember he like scribbled all over this graph, and basically my son, and I can enter it here, was down below here. So it goes like 47 hours down at the bottom, and then it goes over here on the levels of a graph says, and he's at 13. Above it is a line, right? And then above that is another line, and above that is another line. Well, my son's dot is down here. The line is way above my son's dot, and that line, that first line, is what indicates that light therapy is necessary. And I said to him, I said, "Sir, my pediatrician has already released my son into her care." And he's like so upset with the fact that I was not going to do light therapy for my son, and I was going to follow my pediatrician's plan of care for my son. I had requested for a patient advocate, and I had requested for a staff meeting so that we all can discuss how we were going to move forward with the discharge of my son. Finally, hours go by, I'm telling you. Then all of the staff walks in my room. We're having the staff meeting. I'm sitting in the hospital chair. My mom is sitting in another chair, and there is everybody in the room. We're all having a discussion. My pediatrician is informing the hospital that she is perfectly fine with my son put into her practice's care, and this doctor was adamant, like very adamant, that if we left the hospital, it was going to cause my son tremendous brain damage, and that I was putting my son at harm. As that was taking place, the officers entered my room with their guns drawn, and I'm sitting there, everybody in the room freaking out, my mom freaking out, and I'm telling her, "You need to get out your phone and record." Well, at that point, as she's getting out my phone to record the incident that's going on in the hospital, the experience that I'm going through, nurse that you see is actually ushering them out of my room, and like everybody freaking out. "What are you doing here? What are you doing here? We didn't call for you. We didn't call for you." That's where you get the video of my mom saying, "What is going going on? Can you believe this? Like, she's recording me crying hysterical in the room, my midwife hovering over me, and she goes into the hallway, and that's when you see everybody kind of like walking away, but then coming back, and my mom saying what she's saying. At this point, I am completely hysterical. The nurse comes back in the room. She is over me, as you could see in the video. She is apologizing to me. My midwife is standing over me as well. And they're just shocked. They're honestly shocked that that just took place. The doctor actually walks back into my hospital room, the NICU doctor. You could see him in the video.
Cops here to her room. I mean, she's in a meltdown right now. And her pediatrician already said to take the baby home, go home, do sunlight therapy.
I'll have to find his name because it's been couple years that this took place. So I'll have to find his name and make another video with the doctor's information. From this point, I then was informed that DCF had already throughout the day, because remember I said hour had gone by before the staff meeting took place. I did not know this. Nobody informed me of this. No communication was taking place. But at the point that the doctor came shaking in my room with the paperwork, they had already reported me to DCF for medical neglect, even though my pediatrician, who was my son's doctor, relieved the hospital of liability and said that he can be released into her care. First, I didn't want to stay the night. Of course, I wouldn't have stayed the night with hospital having the police enter my room, and DCF was coming to do the initial report. And I was shocked. I had never dealt with this before. I was devastated. I wanted to just get out of that hospital. I felt so threatened, and the threat was real, guys. They came into my hospital room while I was sitting there holding my son. I wasn't doing anything. Nobody was causing a scene. It was the most surreal thing I have ever experienced in my 13 years of being a mother, and I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemy. I'm telling you, it's crazy to me, the assumptions that people make, the things that people say in the comments. I'm like, I don't understand how anybody could even justify what happened and what took place that night over jaundice, over my son's bilirubin levels. It was insane to me.
Why are black women more likely to die during pregnancy and childbirth? Unless you've been living under a rock, you should have heard that at one point. And a lot of people will say medical negligence, they're not being listened to by doctors, they're not systemic racism. Yes, I agree. But what are the symptoms? What are those conditions that black women have that are being ignored? I have decided to start this series called Birthing While Black, and each episode we will talk about different conditions that a black woman could have that could possibly be ignored. So we're going to talk about what are the symptoms of these conditions, how can it affect you, when should you go to the hospital, when should you advocate for yourself, because I believe that we need to stop being a statistic, we need to stop being a number, because clearly safety is a luxury for black people. So this series is not to scare you, it's not to make you say, oh, I never want to get pregnant. It's for you to equip yourself. For every black woman watching this, you are more than a statistic, you are more than a number. And this series, I hope, will make you feel stronger in yourself and know how to stand up for yourself in this world that clearly does not show us the amount of love that we deserve.
You can have anyone in the delivery room with you, right? Including a medical malpractice attorney. After I learned that Serena Williams, almost died because her medical team, when she was giving birth to Olympia, didn't take her concerns seriously, my black ass has been thinking about solutions for the problem, which is the insanely high mortality rate for black mothers giving birth. And perhaps it's walking into that hospital with a medical malpractice attorney by your side who happens to be your best friend in their suit, right? In their business attire, legal pad out, right? Just taking notes in the corner, asking the nurse, what was your name again? Jot that down. So if I'm like, hey ma'am, I think I might be dying. This is a hemorrhaging type situation. Perhaps you should look into it. And they're like, oh, don't worry. This is like giving normal. Put it in the chart. And Mark, jot that down in your legal notes. All right? Perhaps then they'll take us seriously.
Hey guys, I'm here with Mom and Baby Cash. They are doing well. He has a doctor's appointment tomorrow at the pediatric center. It's a lot of concerns. They taking tests on him. He's going to have to go through several other tests down the line because he was born with his eyes open, and due to the stress and trauma that occurred in the triage area, the baby had a bowel movement in Mom, and that fluids was green, and like I said, he born with his eyes open. So they are, taking all that in consideration as well. But he's eating well, sleeping well, looking good. Thank you again for your support and your concerns, and we will most definitely keep you updated.
I'm not here to lecture anybody. I'm not here to try to guilt you because that doesn't work. And I'm definitely not here to repeat a story that you've seen all over your timeline. I just want to share the part that I think most people are missing. The part beneath the screaming, beneath the panic, beneath the chaos. Because what you saw wasn't just a woman in labor, right? It was a Black mother watching her daughter fall into a kind of pain that makes you afraid to breathe, and realizing that she had no power to protect her. That's the part that I want to talk about. She heard her child calling out for help, the kind of help that family can't give, only medical staff can provide, right? And they would not move to help her baby. Her daughter told that lady over and over her due date. They told them that they were scheduled for an induction. They were told that an induction couldn't happen because they didn't have beds. Her water was already broken. She was asking for an anesthesiologist. And the nurse still said, "I can't help you," after ignoring her pain. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't confusion. It was a Black woman in crisis being dismissed in real time. It was the exact same script they used in Jim Crow maternity wards that our grandmothers survived. Back then, Black women were placed in basement hallways, made to wait until the white patients were taken care of, sometimes giving birth on stretchers because nobody came. That history didn't disappear, it evolved. And it showed up again, in that lobby, in that hospital, with that nurse. And that mother wasn't filming for shock value, she was filming out of fear. She pulled up to the hospital with her daughter actively laboring in her car. And they told her to drive around the building to another entrance instead of just taking her at the ER. And when she asked for help getting her daughter out of the car after she drove around, the staff refused. They didn't help her. It was a police officer, not a hospital employee, a police officer, who offered to help. And then she had to choose quickly between parking the car or staying with her child. She parked the car, but she sprinted back inside and found her daughter hunched over in a wheelchair screaming that her baby was coming. Paperwork shoved in her hand like she wasn't in active labor. This wasn't normal. This wasn't safe. This was not care. Okay? And here's the quiet part a lot of Black families carry. They knew they couldn't demand anything, not the way other families could. Because we've all seen what happens when Black families in hospitals get labeled aggressive. Security comes before compassion. Escalation before assistance. And that's not a modern phenomenon either. In Jim Crow maternity wards, Black mothers who raised their voices were punished. They were ignored harder, denied medication, potentially arrested. And today, that punishment just looks more professional, I guess. So that mother stayed calm out of survival, not because the situation was under control, because this is what it looks like when fear and helplessness collide. Imagine watching your daughter's body fold in on itself. Her voice breaking, her hands shaking, her body convulsing. Every instinct in your body would tell you to fight for her, right? But you also know that fighting could put her in more danger. That's not confusion, that's not drama. That's a moment that Black families know all too well. The moment where your love can't shield someone that you would die for. It's the same moment that Black mothers faced in segregated hospital wings, where babies died on waiting room floors because no one came fast enough. That's the legacy that we're watching in real time. Black women don't walk into labor thinking about baby names and playlists. We walk in hoping that the hospital staff will believe us quickly enough to keep us alive. That mother wasn't upset because things were chaotic. She was upset because she knows how quickly situations like this can turn fatal. And she needed the world to see what was happening in case her daughter couldn't speak for herself later. She filmed because the stakes were life and death. She filmed because she had to. She filmed because too many Black women don't make it home from situations like this. And that's the part that nobody wants to sit with. That is the reality of being Black in America.
Weird. I don't understand why with C-sections they can't just put you fully out. You have this massive surgery and you're awake. There's just a sheet in front of you and you can feel your body like moving and stuff. Like, that's so interesting.
I don't love that. And they take your organs out and rip your abdomen.
Patients don't primarily get general anesthesia for cesarean deliveries for two main reasons. Number one, a lot of patients want to be awake to see their baby once it's born. Understandable. And number two, the medications that we use to put someone under general anesthesia can cross the placenta and also make the baby very sleepy, or what we call depressed, at birth. And we want a nice, vigorous, crying baby at birth. Do we take your organs out? The uterus can be exteriorized, meaning taken outside of the body, not detached from the body, so that we can repair it. And especially if you want to do a tubal ligation at the same time, it's easier to do it that way. But it can also be done in situ or with the uterus still in the abdomen. Surgeon preference. Finally, we don't rip your abdomen. We separate the rectus muscles in the midline bluntly so that we can get into the abdomen. The muscles aren't cut.
There are judges in America court ordering women to have C-sections against their will. 2 Black women from Florida were recently told by judges that they had to give birth via C-section. If a court-mandated C-section isn't scary enough for you, these women were told that they had to have the C-section while they were actively in labor. Teresa Doyley was in active labor at the hospital whenever the staff members handed her an iPad that was a Zoom call with a judge and lawyers on the other end. And while she was in active labor, she was told to cover up and to get on this Zoom call and talk with the judge about her options. And the judge court ordered her to have a C-section despite that not being the way that she wanted to give birth. To make matters worse, the judge was a man. A man with no medical experience thinking that he has the right to court order a C-section. Absolutely disgusting story, absolutely diabolical, and the fact that these women were given no time to prepare for this court date and it was sprung on them while they were in labor, fucking disgusting. And this is what happens when you give fetuses personhood. They disregard your health as the mother.
A court-ordered C-section. That's what happened to this mom, Sharice Doyley. This mom exercised her right to decline a C-section. And instead of respecting her decision to decline a C-section, they decided to go to the courts. So while this mom was in labor, she had a court hearing with a judge, where a judge got to make the decision of if she has a C-section or not.
It wasn't being hyperbolic. It's a real judge. Let me get this is the craziest thing I ever seen.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I know you may be able to see me on your screen in just a second here. I'll introduce myself. I do see you on. Can you hear me okay, ma'am?
Oh, yes, sir.
We are now taking patients' rights away from them. And the most important one is right to decline. You have the right to say no, and your no means something. You have the right to decline even a life-saving procedure. You have the right to decline an operation. You have the right to decline blood products. You have the right to decline testing. You have the right to even decline when you are dead and your organs are no longer being in use. You have the right to decline being an organ donor. No one can take that away from you. So why are we court ordering people to do procedures on people that say no? This is wild. I will have the link to the full article in my bio.
2 years ago, I lost a baby due to malpractice, male negligence, and so I'm coming up on closing on the lawsuit, the settlement, and for the amount, it was $850, but I had to pay the lawyer, so I come up about a little over $500,000. And with my spouse, we are not married, but I have been with him He's wanting majority of it, but we have two different mindsets of how we are going to invest it, whereas I want to invest it long-term for our 3 children and for, like, retirement purposes and things like that, whereas he's wanting to spend a lot of it now, and we have to come up with a solution because some of it will go into our son's estate. So I'm just wondering, on what do you think would be a fair amount to settle that, or if you had any insight on that?
You have 3 children with him?
Yes.
On Earth?
Yes.
And one that didn't make it?
Correct.
Okay. And so how long have you two been together?
10 years.
Okay. So it complicates things severely that you're not married. Why are you not married?
I'm not sure. That's another problem that we're having.
That's a long problem.
Yes, that is.
Is it
very long?
Is it you pausing this or him?
No, it's more him. He pretty much says, like, we already are married, just not, like, in the books type of deal. Like, he does. He's really a good provider for me. I'm able to go to school for my nursing and things like that. So he's saying, like, because he provides daily, that majority of that should go to him. But I also suffered a lot of damages to my personal body during that time of losing the baby.
Yeah.
So I was just,
100%, Ashley. Oh yeah. I'm like just.
I'm sorry
as
you've
one
been.
of
I'm
them.
sorry
So
you've been through this.
Horrible.
It's okay. Thank you.
Well, this argument and this confusion is brought on by the fact that you're not married.
Right.
It's very simple. I don't know how to coach you because I would never tell you to be where you are. In other words, if we want to talk about what we're going to do with my $500,000, because I think it's yours. I don't think it's got his name on it.
It's right. Yeah, it is mine. But
okay, so if we're going to talk about what I'm going to do with my $500,000, I have 3 children to watch after, and I don't have a husband.
Right. Correct.
So I think before we talk about that, we're going to talk about being married. Now, once we're married, if we were married, we could say, okay, if we're married, here's what we would talk about doing with the money.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm not giving this to a guy who can just leave.
Okay. Okay.
And he doesn't deserve it because he goes to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like another guilt tripping me into give me this because I do this, which really
which is a scorekeeping thing and very, very, very unhealthy.
Right.
Ugh.
Yes.
That makes me so mad, Ashley.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. This is not
and the fact he doesn't want to marry you. All of it.
You're not in it's not a healthy relationship. Would you agree?
Okay. I would agree, yes.
Okay. I'm not trying to throw him out. You got 10 years invested and 3 kids in this, so let's approach it trying to save it.
Okay, sorry.
And
I
that
don't like him.
No, you're mad at him. I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying, okay, so here's his options. If you're my daughter and you came to me, here's what I would tell you to go say to the young man. Mm-hmm. I now have $500,000. It is not yours.
Okay.
And this is revealing to me some of the struggles in our relationship, that you think it's tit for tat, that you work and give money, so I have to do this, and I do this, so you have to do that, and that's not how a good relationship works. So we need to sit down with a good marriage counselor and talk about how our relationship can be made better and how we get married.
Okay.
And in the process of talking about that, this is you talking to him, in the process of talking about that, honey, we'll discuss when we're married what we will do with our $500,000. There is not a scenario where we're not married and you get any of this.
Okay. Okay.
Now see what happens.
Okay.
And make sure, though, again, Ashley, I'm protecting you in this, that he doesn't turn on some weird manipulative switch suddenly and be like, well, that's my ticket into some of this money if I just marry her. I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I'm putting him with a therapist.
Yes.
Yes, but see, this all came about because the lawyer said he has a right because some of it goes into our son's estate. So that's what the lawyer put in his mind. That's
which
where it
son?
Came,
the one that passed away?
Yes, correct.
Okay. No, he doesn't have. He does not have a right. You're to your son's estate. Your son's estate has to be managed for the heirs of your son.
Okay.
Which would be his siblings, not his father.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
And so I think you may need some more legal advice too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think this is exposing what was weak, and this is your opportunity to make some decisions. Mm-hmm. If you give him a big chunk of this money out of this, I predict this is going to go sideways for you.
Yes, I agree.
And I don't think it's healthy. And I'm not being mad at him. He just thinks he thinks he's got this figured out. I don't like him, but I'm not mad at him. I don't think people ought to behave the way he's behaving, but I'm not mad at him. I think he's just being who he is, and I'm afraid this whole situation may have revealed that. You may end up giving him a $100,000 check because of the estate issue to go away, but he goes away then. I'm not giving him this money and control of it, and he stays in my house because I think it's revealed what's going on here, and you really need to look at this. It's not working.
Tell me why I saw a black mother about to give birth not in the delivery room, but in the damn waiting area waiting for a nurse to sort through the damn documents. This black mother came in clearly in active labor, like full contractions, barely standing, and instead of rushing her to a delivery room, the nurses told her to sit in the waiting area. The waiting area. I couldn't believe it. This woman was crying out, gripping the chair, literally screaming in pain, and the nurses were just ignoring her, acting like her suffering was background noise. They were chatting, sorting paperwork, moving at the slowest pace imaginable, while this poor woman was basically about to give birth right there on the floor. She sat there for over 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And then, get this, they finally take her back, and her baby is born 12 minutes later. And I'm telling you right now, if she hadn't been a black woman, they would have rushed her straight back without a second thought. What I saw was neglect. It was disrespect. It was absolutely racist, and it made my stomach drop.
Hi, I need. Hey, Jennifer.
No, Dr. Where is she, a doctor?
I know. We're all. I got 2cc. Well, I got one. It's on the way. We're the ones that do most of this stuff. Look like you're going to get me one. Well, there we go. Let's get that stuff out.
Don't cut yet.
I'm not, baby. I'm not cutting yet. Well, we have to clamp. Okay.
Why? No, I want the blood flow to go all the way.
Well, what you're doing is pulling back from the baby now, going back to you. It's already happened. It's already done its thing. You don't want to go any longer. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna wind up pulling back from. Believe you me, we've done many of these. Okay. You know what we're doing. I promise you. Baby has pooped. Probably because she got squished.
Just now?
Yeah, she's just pooped everywhere. Get it close enough.
This woman gave birth to a stillborn baby, took him home from the hospital, and for a full 10 days lived as if nothing had happened, filming everything for TikTok. She rocked him, changed his clothes, put him in a stroller, pretended to take him for walks outside, sang lullabies to him, and tried to play with him. All of this was happening right in front of her 5-year-old daughter, who, from what you can see, didn't fully understand what was going on. She was allowed to take the baby home because the hospital supposedly had no space in the morgue freezer. And now the biggest question blowing up on TikTok is, how on earth did they let her leave with the body for 10 whole days? Even if the freezer really was full, she's been getting absolutely slammed online lately. On one hand, people kind of get it. She wanted to capture her final moments with her child. But why post it all publicly on TikTok for millions to see? And why keep pretending he's still alive? What do you think about all this? Drop your honest opinion in the comments.
No, the skin. I'm not You sure? You positive?
100% positive.
Okay. Jesus. You have to go home. There you go.
She had to be very fragile. I'm not 100% fragile. Y'all see how I get in legacy dress? She gets used to it.
Sarah's got the style she used to it.
She used to it. I almost put it on myself when I'm doing it.
Complete trash.
Say my rubber.
What else you get?
Like that white outfit.
Thank you. None of these teeth. White?
Yeah.
Okay.
All white. He on his way to the king, all white.
That's right. Got here for you.
Okay, put a finger down if you're 38 weeks pregnant and you go to the hospital because you're having labor pains all day and you are admitted for observation and they watch you for an hour and they tell you you've only progressed half a centimeter, so they try to send you home and you tell them, okay, well, you think you're still in labor, and the doctor says, oh, well, if it gets worse, then come back, you'll know, your body will tell you. And you tell her, well, my body is telling me now, and she still sends you home, and you're begging and you're crying, you're pleading to stay there, and they still send you home. And you get out into the hallway because you are going to go to another hospital because your cousin's going to take you, because you know that you're progressing even though they said you're not. So you're going down the hallway and you stop in front of the bathroom and you say, oh, I think I have to go to the bathroom, to your 17-year-old girl who is your birth coach, by the way. And you stop in the front of the bathroom, you all of a sudden have your water break in front of you and you tell her to go find some help. So she starts to go find help, and then you scream at her because she's gone, because now you're crowning, and you tell her, hey, I'm crowning, and she goes into other offices trying to find somebody to come and help, and they are reluctant to come and help, and they finally come and help, and people from labor and delivery hear you, so they run out to see what's happening. And you tell your daughter to take off your shorts for you because you know that you're crowning and your water just broke. And she doesn't take off your shorts, but guess what? The baby slides out of your short pants, the leg, and just slides down, hits the floor, and everybody just gasps. And then they pick her up and run away with her, and you're just standing there in awe because the umbilical cord broke and you don't know what is happening, even though it's your fourth kid, because you've never had a fourth kid like that before. And then they take you off to the labor and delivery, and you don't know where your other daughter is, and you don't know where your baby is, and so you're screaming hysterically, asking where either one of your kids are. And then they tell you to calm down, and then you don't want to calm down, and then
A Dallas woman is suing her OBGYN for child support after she went in for a C-section and also requested that she have her tubes tied during the operation. The doctor forgot to tie her tubes during the C-section, but he still wanted his money, so he told her that he did tie her tubes, and he even billed her insurance for it. A few years later, she took a little trip to France to celebrate her divorce, and she wanted to see what that French action was all about, and she came back from that trip pregnant. So she went back to her OBGYN and said, how am I pregnant? You tied my tubes. And he's like, I don't know. I tied your tubes. This is some sort of divine miracle, baby. She didn't trust that. So she went ahead and went to a new OBGYN. Her dude did a little CAT scan on her and was like, your tubes are not tied. That guy lied. She has since given birth to the baby and is in the process of suing the original OBGYN because she said these extracurricular activities in France should not have resulted in a baby. And since they did, and it's your fault, you're going to be paying child support. This could turn out to be a landmark case in the state of Texas because no one has ever tried to sue a non-parent for child support before.
My ick is when you come in for your induction talking about, can I take a shower and eat? What? My ick is when you ask me how much the baby weighs and it's still in your hands. Dad comes outside and asks for a paternity test right outside the room door.
Saying you don't want any pain medicine, no epidural, but you are at an 8 out of 10 pain, just a Cerebral, and you're still closed, fingertip.
When we've already told you to push a call light, but every 5 minutes, your family member coming at the front desk asking for something else.
Excuse me, can I have a blanket?
Another ick, when you're going room to room between one baby mama and your other baby mama.
Oh, no.
Ick.
Say that. It's the unlimited trips to the nurse's station for me.
The doctors induced my labor without my consent, and my daughter was born with a disability. Started having contractions at 38 weeks, and then my water broke, so Al went to the hospital. When I got there, they admitted me for a normal delivery, but the contractions kept intensifying, and I wasn't dilating enough. My dilation was very low, and I spent the entire day and night in pain trying to give birth. But my dilation didn't progress. I was exhausted and couldn't take it anymore. After he told me he'd inserted the pill, I started crying because I couldn't bear the pain any longer. They changed doctors, and the new doctor examined me and my daughter. He told me she was in distress because she was positioned for birth, but I didn't have enough dilation. It was clear she wouldn't be able to come out that way. Immediately, he took me to the operating room for a C-section. But then I got the worst news. My daughter was born with a disability because she should have been delivered sooner. Part 2.
Bad decision. It's not fair. You exist. You're standing right there. My mom is ashes now.
This is the moment a daughter confronted a nurse after she was found not guilty after she killed her mother by giving her the wrong medication. Redonda Vaught was supposed to give 75-year-old Charlene Murphy a mild sedative before a standard procedure, but instead she gave the 75-year-old a lethal dose of vecuronium, which comes with a clear, bright red warning label. Redonda Vaught was charged with negligent homicide of an impaired adult and was facing up to 6 years in prison. But after a 3-day trial, Vaught was only sentenced to 3 years of probation. The family and the daughter of Charlene Murphy were not happy with the sentencing and wanted a harsher punishment for the nurse.
It's not fair that I have to graduate and none of my parents are there.
But what's your opinion on the situation? Do you think the nurse deserved a harsher punishment for her mistake, or was the sentencing fair? Let me know what you think down below.
Why does your labor and delivery nurses or doctors while you're giving birth tell you to be quiet? This is a great question, and I'm not saying everyone delivers this message properly, and I'm sorry if you felt very discouraged at that moment, but I'm going to give you a little bit of insight as to why your healthcare provider may have told you this when you're pushing your baby out. I am happy if my patient makes as much or as little noise as they want in labor. However, I will say when it is time to push, usually people tend to push better when they take a big deep breath and they hold it in and they don't make any noise and they bear down into their bum like they're having a bowel movement, and that is what makes the best push. If someone is breathing out and making a loud noise like or screaming, crying, doing all that kind of stuff, they're not getting that great push that is going to get the baby out faster. And at the end of the day, we want that baby out faster so that you're not in as much pain for a long amount of time. So this could be why your L&D nurse told you to stop yelling and shushed you. However, I don't think she probably didn't approach it in the best way. I usually always say you can always make as much noise as you want. I'm just telling you, if you do keep that breath in and that noise in, it will make a better push and it'll make the pain go away faster.
if you don't get the epidural and you're in pain and I cannot repair you vaginally, we have to take you to the OR, put you to sleep in order for me to do that. Put you to sleep, there's a risk. A lot of people are not aware of maternal complication during pregnancy, during labor, and after delivery. Okay, we have a condition called amniotic fluid embolism. People can die during labor or die after delivery because amniotic fluid get into the bloodstream. They have extreme allergic reaction to the amniotic fluid and they die instantly. You come to the hospital because why? You trust us. Otherwise, you can have the baby at home. You can have midwife come into your home to deliver the baby. But why you come to the hospital? Because you trust that we have different methods that save your life. So when you're here, you have to leave those decision making to us. So while you're here under my care from now until 7 a.m. tomorrow, you can rest assured that whatever happens, I'll keep you up to date. But you have to leave the decision making process to me.
I had an elective 39-week induction that led to my daughter having severe brain damage. In 2020, I had an elective induction where Pitocin was used and the Pitocin ruptured my uterus. At the time of rupture, my Pitocin was at a 15. And if you know anything about Pitocin, you know that 15 is a dose that is far too high for a low-risk woman who had a healthy baby and a healthy pregnancy. When my rupture happened, I felt it. It went from typical contraction pain to an agonizing, constant, horrific pain that I can't even describe. I alerted my nurse, and rather than her helping me, she ignored me, she gaslit me, she tried manipulating me into thinking that it was just push pain. This went on for quite some time before the doctor came in. When the doctor came in, she was no better. She proceeded to put me on my back and tell me that I needed to push. So I did. And when I pushed is when my rupture went from this to this. It spread from hip to hip. And because of that, I started passing out in between pushes. I would push, and as soon as I would be done pushing, I would pass out. So when that was happening, they took the ammonia sticks and they shoved them up my nose and they put a mask over my face. After the second time I passed out, the doctor hooked up the vacuum. She proceeded to use the vacuum 3 times. All 3 times, it popped off my daughter's head. After the third pop-off, I passed out and I did not wake back up. Their efforts weren't working. At that point, they had no choice but to do the C-section that I was begging them for. Because mind you, during all this after my rupture, I was screaming in agony. I was in so much pain. The only thing I could do was scream and plead and beg them to do something. But they wouldn't. They sat there and listened to me scream and tell them I felt like I was dying for over an hour. They waited until I passed out to finally help me. But by then it was too late. My daughter's heart rate had already been hovering between 40 and 60. It took 3 hours worth of surgery to save my life, and it took multiple rounds of resuscitation, umbilical lines, and the cooling therapy to save my daughter's life. I no longer have a uterus, and she has severe HIE, which stands for hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, which means she was oxygen deprived during birth. The one thing I always want women to take away from my story when they hear it, please never blindly trust anybody, including a doctor. Do your own research. Had I known then what I know now, I would have never chosen an induction. I would have never done it. I didn't need it. Nobody ever told me the risks of Pitocin or inductions. I blindly trusted, and it cost my daughter her life.
Let me tell you, I'm heavy on not allowing your mother-in-law in your birth room or in your delivery room, sorry. Like, I'm heavy on that because, let me tell you, you know what's crazy is that I came to realize that my ex-mother-in-law, maybe she was trying to get me unalived or something. Like, these kind of women only care about that grandchild. They don't care about you. If they were the ones the doctor asked, should we save the mother or the child? They'd save the child and leave you there for dead. Let me be honest with you. So I don't think mother-in-laws are to be trusted in the delivery room unless you like have a really good relationship with her and you really, really trust her. Because even me back then, I used to trust this woman. But looking back, I was only 22. So what did I know about discernment, about what did I know? Let me tell you, this woman was insisting I get induced, of which I did. Can you imagine? I got induced twice and it never worked. My body never responded to the induction. So they had to operate on me because I was 0 centimeters dilated and I was in no labor pains. Like, my body was not responding like a natural body, and I was 42 weeks gone. So they had to remove this baby by all means. Let me tell you, it is just by the grace of God that I realize, after hearing stories of women who got inducted and lost their babies, that I'm so lucky. I'm one of the lucky women who survived all that. And then the way she was describing it to me, it was like, they'll just give you a pill, you'll feel pain, and then it will be over in like 30 minutes. Can you imagine? Like a lot of misinformation. Let me tell you, if you have your mother around you, if you have your mother alive, if you have even a basic decent relationship with your mother, let her be there for you. Or your husband. Just go with your husband or a trusted friend, because those women, you cannot trust them. And now looking back, I realized that God saved me, because so much worse could have gone on, you know. So, hey, ladies, let me tell you, personally, the medical malpractice I've seen in this video, and I've heard of what women go through, like even reading the comments under some videos, even here in my country, like it's crazy. It's crazy. And as a woman carrying life, you never know what will happen. You never know, like you can never plan. So your work is just to pray for the doctors, for the surgeons who might operate on you. Your work is just to pray for the pediatricians. Like, you can never be sure. And let me tell you, if you went through any medical malpractice, honestly, my heart goes out to you, because carrying pregnancy is no easy task. Counting the weeks, counting the months, going through the body changes, and then leaving the hospital with nothing, it's no easy task. And my heart goes out to you. Like that, if there's a pain I'd never want to know, it's that one. I'd rather go broke, but never know such pain of losing a child or something going wrong and I lose my life because I decided to bring life to this earth. Like, it's scary. Any pregnant woman, you know, just pray for them, because it's scary. They are putting their life on the line to bring children. Yes, it's not forced. Yes, it's a choice. But some people genuinely want to become moms, and the experiences are just belittled to us. You're not special. You're not the first woman doing this. Thousands and centuries of old women have done this. Blah, blah. No, don't let anyone minimize your experience as to just you're not special, because it's special to you and you're only aware of your own experience, you know? So don't let anyone minimize it or dehumanize it. Anyway, ladies, me personally, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really learned a lot from this video, and I was triggered a lot watching this video because of the negligence of some nurses, the medical racism. Like, it's crazy, it's crazy. Anyway, have a nice day, a nice evening, a nice night, whatever time this video finds you, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye. Mwah.